Well, well, well. Hello, guys. Hello, hello. Okay, you know what? I can't tell if the mic positioning is okay or if I need to improve it. Yes, we changed up our setting quite a bit. So one thing you'll notice if you're just tuning in, and if you guys have been watching me in the past 40 some odd streams that we've been doing, yeah, I switched up the camera, so now I'm looking right at you guys, eye level. But as part of that, I do need to keep changing up a few things, including the mic. So before, the way I had the mic, it was a bit more like position. Let me see. I hate playing with this, but let's do it. It was more like this, and I think the audio sounded pretty good this way. However, I'm like looking, if I'm gonna do like YouTube videos and the mic is more like this, I just feel like it takes up so much real estate. Whereas like when I tilt it this way, obviously you're kind of like shrinking it a bit more in terms of what's visible, but I think the audio level just ends up being a bit worse. So listen, I'm not an expert in anything, so you're watching me struggle with it. Yeah, anyways, so this is how I'm trying to get it to work for now. Slightly more at like a 45-degree angle. Give me a second here. Now you may be saying to yourself, yo Bell, shouldn't you have taken care of all of this before you started streaming? And to that I would say F you, because you're correct. But listen, we're busy people, okay? We're trying our best here. Welcome guys to day 48 of us streaming. Now, we had a good thing going, okay? We had a really good thing going for quite some time, where we did not miss a single day of streaming for, I think, what was it, 46 days in a row. And while I was really proud of myself for lasting as long as we did, it was about like 7 to 8 hours every day that we streamed. We did have a project that came up that took me away from my home for like a couple weeks in terms of just editing and like traveling and shooting and all that. So unfortunately we broke the streak, but we're going to continue the day number. So we're on day 48. This is our 48th day since we decided we're going to start live streaming. And we are multi-streaming across YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. So welcome everyone everywhere. Hello, Daytour and Nico. Nico, hello, hello. Sorry, I missed your message. Yeah, so usually I'll start the stream and then you'll see a wonderful little video pop up. I put a lot of time into it, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. I do need to update it though, because I feel like we've created some new content since then. But anyways, it's a nice little preview, a trailer of who am I, what do I do, why are you tuning in, what can you expect to see from these streams. So it's a nice little bio that I made of myself in terms of my travels. Mostly I focus on like wildlife. That's been an area of focus for me, or an area of passion when it comes to photographing and filming wildlife. I think there's an element of adrenaline, an element of also the unknown, right? It's unpredictable. You can't tell a lion to yawn for you when on command. You can't tell an animal to pose. I mean, unless it's a circus animal or something, sure. But all things considered, assuming they're actual wild animals, there's a level of excitement that comes to the fact that when you film or photograph a moment with an animal, no one else has ever seen this except for you and anyone else that was in the vicinity. So anyways, I've been doing a lot of travels specifically to search for wildlife. And since a couple years ago, I started shifting more towards video. I've been enjoying the art of filmmaking. And as of even most recently, we had the wonderful opportunity to actually create our first film in a proper film manner, like where I had kind of start, beginning, middle, and end, everything, preparation, all of it was with this lens of I'm trying to make a film, not I'm traveling somewhere and I'm going to document everything and make a diary or like a vlog about it. No, it's like I have a theme in mind. I have a few days. We're going to do all these kind of shots, and then we're going to craft a story from the beginning to the end. So yeah, anyways, I'm rambling a little bit, but welcome guys. That is kind of what you get to see when I do these streams, is showing the behind the scenes as well of how do I make my videos, how do I edit my photos, what's happening, how like any knowledge that I have around photography, videography, I'm happy and I'm here to share. But then also to build a community with other people who are in the space and we can support each other. So anyways, all of that said, Nico, oh, hello, Daytour. Hey, Daytour, I remember your name. Apologies, because again, I've been gone for 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks, every knowledge I had about streaming has completely disappeared. So, Daytour, I do recognize your name though, but if you could just refresh me. But yeah, Nico, will you publish this film? The film is published. Actually, thank you for asking, because now this gives me the opportunity to type in the chat. Hopefully everything's working. I had to like disconnect everything and reconnect it. So !promo. This will take you to my YouTube channel. If you've got 5 minutes, feel free to hop off the stream if you need to, but come back. Let me know what you think. But if you have 5 minutes, I have just linked in the chat my film. It's a short film. It's a documentary style short film that I had created. And this was all shot with the new Nikon ZR. That is the latest camera that was announced by Nikon just the other day. And so the kind of the embargo that was put in place in terms of confidentiality and stuff was lifted as of yesterday, and I have published that video. So I hope you guys check it out. It's I'm so proud of it. Like with all the backstory as well, and I'm here to also give a bit of the behind the scenes scoop. But it was a lot of work put in such a condensed time, and it was also my first time ever trying to do like a documentary style film. So a lot of challenges that I kind of put on myself, but then also that was just the expectations. And I hope I delivered. I think I delivered. I'm really happy with it. But there's always room to improve. So this is what the streams are for. Like, I will never take offense if you watch something and you're like, yo, that was complete trash. Let me know and I'll take out the trash. Nico, you said, I will watch it when I go home. Absolutely. I hope you do. Nico, I'm going to hold you to it, okay? And definitely make sure to leave a comment in that video, right? Just being like, Nico was here. I'm being shameless with my plugging, but obviously if you leave a comment or if you hit the like button, even this live stream, if you're on YouTube watching this, anything like that does help with the algorithm. Now, do I know anything about YouTube's algorithm or Twitch and Kick's algorithm? Absolutely not. Every time I think I understand how to, play the game properly, I get completely checkmated. So, but at the very least, if you like the video, if you leave a comment, if you obviously subscribe to me on any of these platforms, all of that is super, super helpful. We are a new streamer. We're also a new YouTuber. Like, it's been just over a year that we created our YouTube channel. And it's only been a few months that I've actually finally stopped traveling and I should stop traveling for the rest of the year, where I actually have time to be consistently publishing onto my YouTube. And as of, 2 months ago when I started doing live streams. So we're so new to all of this. So any of your support will be super, super helpful. But yes, welcome guys. A few things before we go in too deep into the new Nikon. Oh shoot, I keep saying Nikon. It's my American side coming out. I'm trying to say Nikon, okay? Because, out of loyalty to Nikon for this wonderful opportunity. So before we go too deep into talking about the Nikon ZR and kind of showing more of the footages, and I do need to make more content from this, so we might even spend some time. I'll break down maybe some potential Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts that we can make from the footage that we capture with the Nikon ZR. Before we go in, let me just kind of give some updates here. So yes, I made a few changes even to this screen that you're seeing right now. So, for instance, in the past few YouTube videos that I made, I've actually been doing what they call the letterboxing, and I didn't even know that terminology existed until recently. But yeah, like you'll see a lot of the films, whether it's Hollywood cinema kind of thing, they oftentimes do the letterboxing effect. So that's where, maybe I'll show it here, for instance, you have, let me open this guy up. It's where you have the kind of bars on the top and the bottom of the film. So it gives a bit more like a cinematic look and feel. I wouldn't be able to break down the science as to why that's the case. I'm assuming maybe something to do with like the widescreen perspective maybe feels very immersive, even though, again, counterintuitively, you're removing part of the image. So it's not fully in your vision. But by maybe tailoring into this wide angle, it feels more like expansive or immersive. I don't know. But anyways, this is a style that you'll see oftentimes in film. And there's even like a certain type of lens that people talk about, like the anamorphic lenses that allow for this it like compresses the footage when you shoot, and then it gives you the super, super wide angle look. Whereas what I'm doing is a bit more artificial because I have my footage, and then I've just gone into DaVinci and they have this option to create this output blanking. So this is how the actual shot was taken, where it was like a full screen. And then, whoops. Let's jump back over here. Where was I? All right, let's just assume one of these. Yeah, so, here, let's reset it. So this is how I shot full screen, 16 by 9. So I was shooting in 16 by 9. However, for that anamorphic look, you basically chop off the top and the bottom, at least for me, because I used one of the, what do they call it? It's like is it a spherical lens? But yeah, like the typical standard lenses you would imagine shooting these days. But yeah, so for me to create that, all I did is just chop it off. So it's a little bit sad for me because obviously there's, and I'm using the 2.39. That just seems to be, listen, I don't know anything, but apparently that's kind of like the default one a lot of filmmakers will use, or at least it replicates a lot of like what's out there in the public sphere. So anyways, I like how it looks. So I figured, okay, we're going to do this for our documentary. So I applied this across the film. Poor baby chimp got its head chopped off because of it. But you know what? Some sacrifices had to be made. And it does allow me to feel more like a filmmaker. I'm trying my best to feel more like not a fraud. Not to say I'm a fraud, but like to feel like, okay, can I embrace myself as a filmmaker as opposed to a travel vlogger or just a content creator, right? Like we want to level up. And so any of these kind of things, it also just helps me feel like I've leveled up. It makes me feel more like I'm actually learning a craft. So selfish reasons aside as well, I think, anyways. Nico, he said, when filming, is it better to film on 16 by 9 or the classic? Okay, good question. I know with most of the cameras I've shot with, like the hybrid cameras, because again, keep in mind, and I need these like disclaimers, I am a photographer first, right? When I started this whole journey, following this passion and like going down this hobby that turned into a passion, it was starting with photography. And so I was always shooting with photo first cameras. And then over time, I had the cameras that are hybrid mode, and then I would switch over to video a bit more and more and more. So my knowledge is limited from that, from like just my personal experience. I know, Nico, that you have the option with some cameras to shoot at like the standard like 3:2 or like the 3:2 aspect ratio, which is what you would normally shoot for the photos. At least with my full frame cameras that I've shot with, it's always like 3:2 aspect ratio. But for video, it feels like 16 by 9 is the standard. I could be wrong, but it's like, cause like when you think of your standard, I say standard, when you think of like the modern, like digital screens, your monitors, your TV screens, stuff like that, I think on like default, they might mostly be 16 by 9. So then that way you get the full screen effect, right? Whereas if you do 3:2, at some point you're gonna have to cut something anyways, if the camera allows for it. So yeah, I figure like I'll just shoot at 16 by 9 because then it helps me actually position, knowing what's going to be in the shot. Now I'm going even more, right? So this is like the 2.39 to 1 ratio. I think it's like the 2.39. That's like this kind of anamorphic look. But generally speaking, because with film, I like the ability to just, what I see is what I get, right? Just to simplify things. So that's kind of why I did it, but I couldn't tell you if that's the proper answer. Probably not. But yeah. But at least for what I do, I normally shoot at 16 by 9. I don't even know if they have the option for like 3:2 or any of the other aspect ratios, at least with the camera I was shooting with. So with the Z6 III, I'm not sure. With this ZR, which is what you're seeing the footage coming from, I don't know if it actually had that option. I just assumed 16 by 9. So yeah. Yo, what's up, Photo Elite? Really interesting time for Nikon to drop their first red product as Canon drops a C50. Yo, you know what? I've been so out of the loop just because I've just been in my own world. But I think I did see something about Canon just announced something at the same time Nikon did. Is that right? Because I thought I saw a YouTube video from Peter McKinnon saying something about, oh, this is going to take over the FX3. So I assumed it was about the new Nikon ZR. But then I think it was about the Canon. So anyways, I have no idea. Do enlighten me. But yes, over here in the Nikon family, we are obviously hyping about the ZR, which is what I'm going to do on these streams. Welcome, Photo Lee. It's been a long time. It's good to see you. Day tour as well. 16 to 9 is standard. Some people film in different modes. Yeah. Like I assume, because the problem is if you film in 3:2, if that option exists, again, you're gonna have to crop somewhere. Just because like, unless you're gonna have to crop, right? Or something will get cropped. So then by shooting in 16 by 9, it just allows me to exactly see what's in frame. And then just shoot with that. Because in my opinion, I feel like photography is a bit more forgiving, especially like sometimes you'll have these massive megapixels cameras. And so like, I'll usually shoot in 3x2. And then also because for photo, you will sometimes like do vertical portrait mode stuff, landscape. You like will be more liberal with like the actual aspect ratio you end up using for whatever your final shot, your photo will look like. Whereas for video, it tends to be 16:9 is like what you will end up seeing. Most people will want to see. Like, so anyways, I don't know. I wish I was better at explaining these things, but that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, Photo Elite, the C50, I'm gonna have to look into that a bit. But welcome guys, Photo Elites, good to hear from you. I am finally back after 2 weeks of traveling. We did our first stream back yesterday, and it was so super fun. It was kind of crazy because I think probably, I mean, obviously because of the hype with the Nikon ZR, when I started live streaming yesterday, there was like 19 people on YouTube, just on YouTube. Like a bunch of people showed up there, which was really cool. And I appreciate everyone that stopped by. But I was so rusty yesterday. I have no idea what I was doing. I think half the things weren't working. Also, my internet had some issues, which I think I fixed. So they reset my network. So hopefully you guys won't see any weird glitches. Photolite, you said the C50 is 100% a FX3 II killer. Oh, is that because there's like a Mark II or like a version 2 of the FX3 or something? That thing is like the R6. Z8 is the Nikon equivalent roughly, and the C80 full-on cinema camera had a baby. Ooh, that sounds exciting. The R5, not R6. Gotcha. Well, that sounds exciting. What a time to be alive is what I'll say. What a time to be a filmmaker and be alive is what I'll say. What a time to be alive as an aspiring filmmaker is what I'll say. Because now it's like, you know, what else got announced? Was it like the iPhone came out with they announced the new iPhone, and I think I read something, I didn't watch it, but it was something about like, is it like a 50 megapixel sensor or something in the camera or in the iPhone? So anyways, what a time where if you are someone who wants to get into filmmaking or photography, there's so much technology out there at your fingertips at an affordable price, right? Or more affordable and more so, that can allow you to like jump into these worlds. And that's kind of where hopefully I am going to make a product review on the ZR. And as part of that, I'm not approaching this, everything about what I do, I want it to be authentic, right? I want you to not ever feel like I'm bullshitting you guys, even when I am. But yeah, so I am really much like going into this from the lens of like, I am not a professional filmmaker. I never studied cinematography or any technical stuff. I was just like many of you guys, an enthusiast around photography, and turning that into more and more of a passion and more into like a professional thing. And then from that photography start, I then jumped into videography, but mostly from the social media angle. And now we're trying to be more professional and serious on YouTube. And now for the first time, I'm making like a literal film that I, like start to finish. I thought of it as a film. I, crafted it as a film, and then we produced it as a film. And so to me, that's been the beauty of shooting with this Nikon ZR, was that it really made me feel like it's not overwhelming. It allowed me to shoot with a single camera body and get a film quality out of it. And I think a big thing that they're advertising is the fact that it's like you really don't need to add a bunch of other accessories to the camera. It's got built-in 32-bit float, so the audio is crisp. It was fantastic. I was capturing audio of the chimpanzees screeching as they're like super close in your face, and you never had to worry about it clipping the audio. But yeah, and then everything's just built in properly. So anyways, to me, I'll talk about it. I need to start writing down like for the product review. But yeah, what a time to be alive. So, Photo, you said the ZR is like the baby brother of the C50 that stunted in growth. Gotcha. Well, listen, I don't know much about that C50. I do know, obviously, like, well, actually, I don't know. I felt like Sony was probably, from a perception, my perception of things was that Sony was really at the top of the game for like film. Was my assumption, or that's just what I thought. Canon, I never necessarily heard anything good or bad. I just assumed they were like doing well in the space as well. But I always felt like Sony was the one that came up often when it came to like cinematic, technology or cameras. So I'm curious to see how the Canon does. I think I'm a huge proponent of competition. I think anytime there is a monopoly or duopoly or whatever, I just feel like we suffer for it as customers or consumers. So the more there's these kind of new technology, I want Sony to respond to Canon and Nikon, and then I need Nikon to also then be like, oh, let's step up our game. So anyways, all of this is really good, and I think we all benefit at the end of the day because of it. Brendan, you asked, how did you find the IBIS on the ZR? You know what? I know oftentimes, even with like any of my cameras, like the Z9, the Z8, Z6 III, I've always found that like the image stabilization, like that, it's always been really, really top notch. But the only issue I would say, my caveat, is that I don't have much to compare off of, because I've essentially just been shooting with Nikon for a number of years now. So I wouldn't be able to say for sure, like, oh, how does it compare to other cameras? I can't say. I will say though, like one of the cool things about this is that I film everything handheld. I do have a gimbal, I just never use it. Even especially the way I shoot, like oftentimes you're outdoors on travels, it's unpredictable, wildlife related stuff. It's just the moment I try to use a gimbal or tripods even, I need to invest in a monopod. But anyways, the moment passes you by the time you make adjustments. And that's one of the limitations I find with gimbals. And so with this one, everything you see in this film that I made, and I'll show even behind the scenes, I'll show you guys like what it looked like in real time. So you'll see how shaky some of the footage looks, and then how much, how much we're able to essentially fix it in post, right? So, but generally speaking, I've always found that the stabilization is like really nice with this camera. To do a photo, you said mini HDMI. Ooh, yes, mini HDMI. I know a lot of people, not a lot, but I know that was one of the potential complaints, was the fact that they're using one of the mini HDMIs instead of the full HDMI, and a completely fanless design and no 1/4-inch threads, unlike the C50 that's got 1/4-inch threads coming out the wazoo. Codecs is Netflix approved. You don't need a cage for it, and it's got open gate 7K recording. Yo, 7K, that's insane. Well, let me ask you, what is the price tag on this C50? So my understanding is the ZR is pricing around just above 2,000, right? I think it's like 2,200 is what we were hearing. I haven't actually paid attention to what the price tag is, but my understanding would be that this C50, I can only assume, is probably pricier, as is the Sony FX3. But yeah, the mini HDMI, I did hear some people are concerned with that. To me, I think this is also the approach that they're taking, and I like what you said about like the baby brother. Although I would disagree with that, with that analogy. But it is kind of like a look, and I think this is why they tapped me to be a part of this project, or like be part of their like announcement, launch, and everything. I think it's because of the fact, and I mentioned this yesterday, I'll say it again. I think it's because I'm not like your typical professional cinematographer or someone that's established in the field. I am very much, like I said, a photographer LARPing as a videographer, right? Or as a filmmaker, right? And so, that's not ever anything I've like tried to pretend. I don't pretend to be anything other than that, right? And so I think, but then the Nikon team, I think they saw something in that, and especially with this product, again, this is going to be all speculation, but my speculation is that this camera is in many ways meant to also show, one, Nikon is entering into this cinematic space. And especially here's what you can expect with their, with the acquisition of Red and the ability to like integrate this technology. Here's what we're actually going to do. And then also showing that they're building this into a camera body that's trying its best to be like a one single body. You don't need all the rigs. You can create film quality without necessarily having to stack on all the accessories onto it. And, that's why it's got the massive like 4-inch screen as the monitor. So even that, it's like their way to say you don't even need that external monitor now. You can use that 4-inch, like, because what is the most average external monitor? Is it like 5 inches or something like that? So it's like, look, you're literally getting the quality of an FX3 at a fraction of the cost. I'll say fraction, but like at a reasonable price. And you're getting this body that's got the 32-bit flow audio. It's got a 4-inch, it's probably got to be one of the largest monitor screens. So you won't even need to attach the external monitor. And then with the whole, so then like with that mini HDMI, I mean, it's like you won't even need to use it, is essentially what they're trying to sell it as, is like, look, you just need the camera and that's it. Now, So then, does that mean there might be limitations at the ceiling or like at the top end? Probably. I mean, like with most things, I'm sure you'll hit one of those. But there's always going to be workarounds. And then again, for me personally, that's like music to my ears because I really don't want to shoot with a bunch of accessories attached. Also, thankfully, because I think Sony, I think some of their models have it. I'm assuming Canon does as well. But with the ZR, they also have like the hot shoe that's actually I don't know what the right terminology is, but you can actually finally hook up without like a wireless, like you can hook up the wireless shotgun mics and things like that without actually having to use any cables. So like they're trying to build everything in without necessarily having a bunch of attachments added to it. And for a solo travel filmmaker like myself, running gunning type, yo, that's great. And so I hope that this film that I made is going to be testament to the fact that like someone like me who's got very, 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 very limited knowledge in the space, I just learned about, dual native ISO and as a concept. I've never played with red codec or anything like that. So someone like me, if I'm able to make a film that I feel so proud of, then hopefully it will enlighten other people to be like, oh, let's give this a shot. So I would like to believe that's why they tapped me to be a part of this. Because God knows there's like so many more established people. Like my YouTube is tiny. My stream, I don't even think they care about live streamers. My Instagram is just, it's like modest. So photo, you said Sony had the monopoly in the hybrid cinema camera market with the FX3 and FX2. Handle has full XLR ports on both Sony and Canon. That's pretty dope. I also just learned about XLR because of this mic that I bought. So we're learning a little bit every day, okay? Can I start cursing? I don't know. One of these days I'm going to get comfortable enough to like curse on these streams properly. But I'm still trying to, toe the line. Canon is pricing the C50 at close to $3,900. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure it is. Would I pay that kind of money for it? Like, I think so, absolutely. Like, I mean, the Z9, I think was what, 5,000 plus. At some point, if you're gonna get like a professional film production camera, like you gotta shell out the big bucks. But again, I think that's gonna be one of the other nice moments about this ZR is the fact that they're pricing at $2,200, and it's insane. Like I personally feel like they packed in so much into this camera that's excellent, and a lot of it probably is due to the red codec. And then one thing I read is like also because there's autofocus in this camera. So apparently, like with the red cameras in the past, like none of them usually have autofocus built in. So that was also viewed as like a nice win of like how red is now, the integration can actually be good the other way. Sid, you said, yo, Bell, watch the reel. Is that a long form you're working on for YouTube? Oh, the reel. So the reel was just a trailer. So if you look at my Instagram reel, and I also just posted a YouTube short. Those were just meant to promote the 5-minute video that I made on YouTube. There is a world I'm considering making an extended version of the short film, because 5 minutes is very, very short. And there's so much, you'll see, like as we kind of break this down, I have so much content. I have so much footage of the chimps in different environments. I have footage. I have a bunch of interviews that I filmed. I have a lot of so let me see. Interviews. Yeah, so I have just I think I interviewed like 4 other people. So there's a world where I want to make like an extended version, but I feel so good about this one that I did, the 5-minute version. Like I feel like it's so good in my opinion of like what I was like my expectations were like down here. And so I feel like personally I felt like I achieved what I wanted to, and I feel proud enough to like put my name behind it. But yeah, we'll look into making like a longer version. But as of now, consider it, Sid, that the 5-minute one that I posted on YouTube, that is the final full, what do you call it? It's its own beast. It is a short documentary film on its own. Photo, you said, yeah, the digital hot shoe. Thank you. I don't know these terminologies. The digital hot shoe is about bloody time. Nikon has been way behind the curve on that one. Yeah, I'm really happy to know that they did that. You know what? I'll tell one of the criticisms. I say criticisms, but it's like... So Nikon came out with the Z9, and on the Z9, they had the sensor shield built in. So anytime you shut off the camera, a little shield will pop in to protect your actual sensor. So anytime you switch lenses, it'll literally block it from dust and other things. And to me, I was like, yo, that is so sick. And every camera needs to have this. Then they applied it to the Z8. The Z6 III, it's not there. The ZR, they don't have that sensor shield. And I really wish they had incorporated. I'm assuming something about the size of it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But that was one of the coolest features. That has nothing to do with the actual production, the quality of the camera shots. But it helps protect your camera in a way that's like so useful when you're swapping lenses all the time. Oh, yeah, especially with the outdoor shoots that I do. Photo, you said, oh wait, Brendan, hey, what's up, Brendan? Honestly, looks great as a person looking to get into the videography space. Yo, well, thank you very much. And this is, I'm happy to hear that because, like I just said, I'll try to be more. I ramble. Okay, this is why we stream. But yeah, like I'm glad to hear that, Brendan, because I want you to hopefully then be inspired by anything I say here, because I'm very much similar to you, maybe just a few steps ahead in that journey of like, I was also very recently, less than 2 years ago, really, looking into doing more videography. And you're watching me on that journey to try to level myself up. And it's not an easy process, but it is one where if you have the right equipment, it does make it so much more within reach. And I think these kind of quote unquote like prosumer camera products, like the ZR, right? It is absolutely the type of thing that if you're looking into going to film, but it's pretty overwhelming when you look at what's out there, whether it's because of the price tag, whether, like I said, like you look at all the professional filmmakers, it's not like you don't even see the camera. It always feels like you don't see a camera. You see a big ass lens, you see a big box, you'll see like a cage with like an extra monitor on top, and then you got this big, like, I forget what they call it, like that little like like the lens hood style, and you've got like the headset, and you got like a gimbal attached maybe, and a hook. So like that's the kind of visual you see when you think of like a professional filmmaker. And it's very, very, I think of it the same way I think of India, like traveling to India. It's so overwhelming because you look at them and like, holy shit, if I don't know the first thing about this space, where do I start? And it's like, oh shit, I have to buy the camera, but now I got to buy these kind of like really professional lenses, and I got to buy the cage for it, and then I got to buy the microphone, shotgun mic, I got to buy the external monitor and the extra batteries to power everything, and then the gimbal, because God knows how heavy that shit is. It's daunting. And so I want you to know, and we'll see how much of the behind the scenes I can actually share. I'm going to make a product review, and I'll just kind of break down as well my use, how I feel about this camera when I shot it in the field. 99% of the time, everything I'm filming, I'm just hand holding the simple camera with the lens, and that's it. A few times I had the an Atomos attached, but that was mainly just for myself, to like for my product review, kind of like if I need to record the screen. And then the remaining time was just when I had to use a tripod for like an interview. That's it. Everything else was just hand holding a single camera body and a lens, which is like you didn't need all the other shit. So Photo, you said they did a lot of things well with the ZR, and had they put this out 4 to 5 weeks ago, it would have been revolutionary. Now it's getting overshadowed by the C50. Maybe. I would disagree a bit because, like you said, you know, the C50. Well, actually, I don't know anything about Canon. So, is the C50 like, is it a sequel, or is this like the next of a series of cinema line in Canon? I don't know. Let me know. But like I said, the price tag is so different, right? So they're looking at different markets, and either way, I would almost say this is probably more detrimental to Canon than is Canon's announcement detrimental to Nikon. This is my 2 cents. Because nobody was expecting this from Nikon. That's what I would say. I would say most people, when it comes to like the videography space, I don't know if anyone really viewed Nikon as a leader in the space. And so then I know some people, when they acquired Red, then there was speculations, right? There were some thoughts like, oh, would that work out? But I think maybe some people probably just assumed it'd be like a dud. So my assumption is going to be that expectations were low for Nikon about anything to do with this kind of like cinema kind of direction. Whereas I think Canon, I don't know the expectations, but I'm assuming is always like just moderate at the very least. And so now for Canon to come out there with like a almost double the price film camera, which sounds fantastic from everything you're saying, Photolea, don't get me wrong, like that actually sounds really impressive. And as I learn more and more, I'm like, oh shit, now I'm understanding some of the words you're saying. And I can't wait to test and have like that kind of quality as well. But for double the price, whereas this ZR is doing like majority of what you would want this kind of camera to do, in my opinion, right? with very, very limited downside, also in my opinion. I think, I don't know, I almost feel like someone now would look at the Canon, be like, oh, they made this thing, but shoot, Nikon just came out with this crazy new thing. I'm kind of interested in the future or the prospect of like what Nikon's going to do with this like Z Cinema line. That's a little bit of like my, you know, I'm just giving like a devil's advocate, I guess. But yeah. Sid, video is really good. The edits, cuts, the quality was awesome. Yo, thank you very much. You know what? I did a little bit of this at the very end of yesterday's stream where I kind of broke down my thought process, and I'll do it again. I did put a lot of thought into everything, and I hope you guys, anyone who's been watching my streams over the past 2 months, I hope it comes across with the videos that we make, but also during the behind the scenes when we're editing our videos, whether it was Mongolia or just anything, right? With this, every time there was voiceover, the music choice, the tone of the music, whatever visual I was capturing, I did put a lot of thought into like trying to match the mood, match the visual with whatever is being said. So if the person I was interviewing, Dr. Rakundo, was saying something about like what's a good example? It's like there's a line where he said like, hey, we wanted to find a place that our founders wanted to secure a location where the chimpanzees weren't like in a zoo enclosure, like they actually had freedom to move around, interact with their environment, blah blah blah, right? So as he was saying that, I wanted to convey a shot that conveys a sense of space and freedom. And so that's where I inserted the shot of the baby chimp that started rolling backwards like 1,000 times and then essentially rolls itself off of the screen. So it was a kind of like a comical moment, but also one that hopefully was fitting. Yo, thank you very much, Renee Deter. Yo, is that German? I don't know how to say the rest of your name, but thank you very much for subscribing. Renee Deter. Wandern und Mer. Christ, I don't know. Well, thank you very much for subscribing on YouTube. I very much appreciate it. Yeah, this is day 2 of us being back from 2 weeks off of streaming for this project that we worked on. But yes, it is day 48 of me being a live streamer. So welcome, guys. It's been a really fun journey. I am very excited to be streaming again. It's just been a while. German is my YouTube name. Oh, nice, nice. Okay, Dator. Oh, yeah, of course. Dator, and now Dater. German. Okay. Well, listen, thank you very much. Does that mean you're based in Germany, or whereabouts are you? In the meantime, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Let's pop open. Where is my timeline? And one thing I want to actually break down today is how I figured out the storyline, the narrative. I'll show you guys the crazy number of transcripts I had to review, and how did I end up summing it into like 5 minutes. Final, this one. So let's jump over to the section I was talking about. Let's pause the music. Ooh, and we actually got to use dehancer. So I was able to actually use dehancer in this film. So yeah, it's fun. It's been fun. We've been like slowly evolving. Where is the shot? It must be in the beginning somewhere. Okay. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. So basically here you'll hear the dialogue, and I'll pause.
We're looking for a place where, one, there would be enough space. We didn't want to have a situation where it's like in a zoo and they're in a cramped enclosure. They have the freedom to be able to move as freely as they want and interact with the environment directly. Two,
so yeah, to me, this is like, I didn't even cut this clip. I just left it as is. So it's in a pretty long one compared to all the other shots, which is like, look, I gave a lot of real estate to this one clip because for a 5-minute video, you can imagine every second counts. But there was a good line where, you know, the doctor is talking about the founders, what they were looking for. They wanted a place that there'd be enough space. That's why also I used one of the footages here of the chimp on the tree top, just again to convey an openness, like you know, literally they're not in a cramped. Is that a word? They're not in like a very cramped environment. They're literally free in the world, in nature. So I started with that shot, and then he'll say something like, we didn't want to have a situation where it's like in a zoo. So I thought this was nice to kind of make it show the opposite of a zoo feel, kind of. I haven't been to many zoos. But then, yeah, they have the freedom to be able to move. So obviously you're seeing this baby like move around and clearly very carefree and interact with the environment directly. So yeah, anyways, so moments like this, I do put a lot of thought into like, can I fit the visual to match the mood, to match the dialogue, to match the music and all that. Yo, low bass and Detur. Sorry, my German. I need to work on it. Based in northern Germany. Nice. I've only been to Berlin, and I loved it. I think maybe it's only Berlin, but the German culture, the Berlin culture that I experienced while I was there for like, I think I was there for like 5 days. Yo, it was so hipster. Like people actually are hipster compared to when I lived in San Francisco. I think we were fake hipster. People in Germany and Berlin, they were straight up like doing barter system where it's like, oh, like if instead of buying new furniture, you like will find someone who threw away a couch and then you would repurpose it. There's like cool vibes all around. I do want to go back to Germany. Yo, low bass, welcome. I need that guy to narrate my life. Oh wait, Dr. Rakundo, yeah, perfect voice. Yo, I asked him to say a bunch of lines. So I had a bunch of lines that I thought could be nice, which is what we use in the very beginning of the film and at the very end. So for example here, when a chimp approaches you, stay humble, stay calm, you are the guest. These are a bunch of lines that I then Frankenstein together, but he just did one take for each of them. Like he was a boss. He just had the voice that commands presence. And yeah, so it worked out perfectly. Once you're back, low bass, let me put a note for you, because I want to ask you something. Once you are back, low bass, I have a question about that bot you shared. Okay. But yes, anyways, guys, welcome. So like I said, I'm very, very excited about this new camera. I'm excited to hear Canon and Sony. I'm assuming Sony, did they announce something before? Because I did see something about the Sony FX3 Mark II, but I don't know if that's old news. But either way, I'm excited to see how they respond to the competition. But yeah, just generally speaking, as someone who is unabashedly a Nikon supporter and a Nikon shooter, I'm very, very excited for the future of Nikon. I think in the same way I felt that when they launched the Z9 camera, which ended up being like the flagship mirrorless camera for them, I think they were making a statement of saying like, don't leave us out of the game. Because I feel sometimes there is a perception, especially on social media, where it's like, oh, all the big content creators are Sony or Canon users, and Nikon is like old school people kind of thing. I don't know, that seems, sometimes I get that impression, and I am very much, it's weird to say that Nikon is an underdog, because I don't think necessarily true, but I do root for the underdogs more often than not. And in this case, I do feel like they are listening, and I've seen it firsthand with my relationship with the Middle East and African office here, and like how much they support the community and like the Nikon users. And I feel like this was definitely a statement made. And listen, I only got to shoot with it for a number of days, but yeah, listen, at the very least, I can show you guys the content, the quality, and you guys be the judge as well. We need to make a lot more footage, like content out of this. Like I said, most of this I ended up not using. So some of these gold clips, some of these like greenish clips, I think I ended up using, but a lot of these pink ones, oh yeah, like I would only use like a few seconds of it, right? Let's see. Can I show? There was some examples I wanted to show you guys. I didn't figure out how to show it in the moment, but let's see if I can just like pop onto this one real quick. Yeah, so basically this is how it shoots in RAW, and this is after you add all the color back in. And I did feel it was very noticeable. Photo Elite, I'm not sure if you're still here, but you had mentioned that like with the Canon one, it's supposed to be like Netflix approved or something. Now I don't know necessarily the ins and outs, but I do feel like this camera might also qualify in that sense. I know like the dynamic range for this camera is really impressive. I need to review my notes before I like say anything that I shouldn't, but generally speaking, like it was insane. Like the dynamic range was so impressive. And And it noticeably from shooting with the Z6 III and the Z9 and the Z8s, while like, and I hope you guys have seen the quality from that as well, right? If you've seen my previous videos that I made, like the Mongolia, Uganda, all of those videos that I've published on YouTube, those are all shot, 99% of it was shot with the Z9, Z8, Z6 III, shot in NRAW, which is Nikon's proprietary codec, which is a 12-bit color depth. But yeah, like all of that, again, maybe if you're like a, what do you call it? Like I'm going to call it a filmophile. Or if you're someone who's like very, very in the weeds of like the technical details, maybe you would be able to say like, well, you know, sure, it's good, but if you shoot with these cameras, you actually have this much better, like, you know, whatever the technical details are. But at least for the layperson, for anyone who ends up watching my videos on YouTube or just in general, like, it's imperceptible. Like, the quality is fantastic. It's amazing. Now, but like I said, shooting with this guy, it was an extra step above. Like, there were moments where I was shooting directly against the sun. I'm shooting in these like very, very low light situations where with my other cameras, it definitely would have, I would have lost a lot of detail in the blacks, or I would have lost a lot of detail in the sky, in like the really bright exposure points. Whereas with this camera, I'll look for a few examples where you're actually able to see. I don't know. There might be only like a handful of clips of shots that I've taken from this trip where I actually had overexposed the highlights or the blacks. So, yo, what's up, F Mead? Hello. Good to see you. Good to see you on here. F Mead, were you here yesterday? I don't think you were here yesterday. But yes, welcome back. And I am also happy to be back. This is our second day of being back after the 2-week hiatus. But yes, we're back with the vengeance, with the punch, okay? We didn't take 2 weeks off just for vacation, all right? We spent that time creating this hopefully enjoyable content. So I'm going to take the moment again to promote myself. ! Promo. This is the 5-minute video that I've created. It's on YouTube now, and it's all shot with the Nikon ZR. It is the recently announced camera from Nikon, and it is the first in the line of Z Cinema cameras. So in the direction of going towards cinematic cameras and lenses, but then also utilizing their partnership and acquisition of Red to, you know, take the best of both worlds. So everything I'm showing here is shot with the Red codec. And so now I'll leave another caveat because this was shot with the pre-production unit. So, and there was a few little things I had to do on the back end because obviously it wasn't in the market yet. So the quality that you'll see, it's not like, it may not be as good as what the final production quality will be. So if you like the quality of this, I hope that's a good sign, because then the production one should be even better, is what I'm saying. So there was a bit of limitations because obviously I'm shooting with the pre-production and all that. But yeah, this was with the Red codec and let me think through this. The lenses that I was using an assortment of lenses, everything from the 85mm f1.2, the 400mm f4.5. So a lot of these close-ups, maybe not this one, but a bunch of these were shot with the 400mm f4.5. I shot with the 35mm f1.2. So the shot that I start the entire video with is an example one that I shot with the 35 1.2. So it ended up becoming my hero shot. It was such a cool moment, right? Because then you see the chimp and the mothers approaching slowly. Here, let me see if I can find this one. So this whole clip here, I had a bunch of these ones, so I'll just play one of these. So this was shot, I believe, with the 35mm f1.2 and handheld. So everything was just handheld, and a lot of like walking backwards, trying to keep the chimps in frame, trying not to trip over anything behind me. And yeah, so there's some areas, if you're seeing here, it might be super black, but that's just a personal choice, or that was just some of the editing. In reality, all of this is within the dynamic range. Let's see, actually, can I just show that? I'll just lift it just for this sake, but yeah, there was no issues. And I forget, I need to double check because I am going to make a product review. I'm going to try to break down the different ISOs I was using, or like I had an ND filter attached at times. But yeah, let me undo the thing I just did. Yeah, so to me, like, this was a really good example of, here I am filming, so it's handheld, no gimbal, walking backwards. This is obviously in slow motion, but like in reality, like you're walking. Oh, actually, I can just show the real one. 1 second. Because I want you guys to like also understand, again, I can't say how does it compare to other cameras, but to me, the fact that it would allow me to get some final production film where things are very stabilized is fantastic. Let's see. Can I find the clip? Yeah. So let's just watch this real quick. So this is in real time, right? So imagine like I'm walking backwards to match the pace of these chimps, this chimp walking towards me essentially. Meanwhile, I'm like trying to dodge. It's like I needed eyes on the back of my head, right? Because I'm trying to dodge these things that are protruding. See that? Like I literally had to walk over this tree root or something on the ground. Listen, I'm not saying I'm a boss, okay? But if there was a skill set that I have, it's walking backwards while maintaining balance, okay? There were so many times I'm sure I would have fallen if I was a lesser man. But here I am, all right? The reason you're watching my streams is because you're like, this guy's the best at something. What is he the best at? Walking backwards while holding a camera, okay? That is my skill. Low bass has returned. They can sense when I'm watching a Twitch stream, and that's when they call. Fair enough. Let me just show this real quick, because I wanted to show an example of like, this camera was able to handle everything from keeping focus to also being fairly stable, right? For all things considered, I'm walking backwards, hand holding a camera, but I was able to get excellent shots from this. And then also the audio, right? The audio quality is, I believe this was just the built-in microphone within the camera itself. Shot at 60 frames, 6K, I believe. So this is exact footage from the opening trailer. It's where it sits down. So this I didn't include in the film. So a bunch of these, there's so much I haven't included in that 5-minute video. So this is what I'm saying, like there's so much fun stuff I can create soon. So they can send, oh yeah, so 1 second, low bass. I had a question for you as well, but 1 second. So then let's compare that to here. Also, the beauty is when you film in slow motion, right? Because then everything, even if it's unstable, it like slows down the crazy jerky motions and stuff. So it can also look much smoother for that reason. But yeah, so this I filmed with the 35mm f1.2. I also brought with me a 20mm f1.8 lens in case I need to do some selfie ones. I did do some selfie shots towards the end, just to test out the selfie quality, the autofocus, the microphones and stuff like that. But mainly 35 ended up being such a cool, like, yeah, actually the focal length with that f1.2 is amazing. I think I shot this at f2. But yeah, 35. I also brought a 50mm f1.2, but I didn't end up using it much at all. So it was really the 85. I think I shot a few at 135 f1.8, which is the Plena lens. And then the main one was really the 400. So between the 400 f4.5 and the 85 1.2, those ended up being the lenses of choice for me, or the preferred ones. Jerky Motions was my other stripper name in college. I've lost count, low bass. You've had an extensive stripper career, because it sounds like you've gone through a number of names. Anyways. Oh yeah, low bass. I was gonna ask about this the bot that you shared with me earlier. So is it something where you just like click the button to activate it, or what happens? I'm so clueless about these things. But if you activate this bot, what does it do? But yeah. Anyways, so I like, okay, I forget how much did I edit this one. Let's see. Yeah, so this one I just changed up the white balance a bit. So I made this a bit more green. Let's see. Let's undo everything and just kind of get a sense. Okay. So just to show some of the steps, so this is the original shot, right? So this is what it looks like in that raw format in the log file. And then this is with the color space transform. So now it's just reapplying the proper colors in the Rec 709 format, or roughly the same. And then I had done my own kind of custom edits here. So I wanted things to be, I wanted it to be much darker. I just like the mood, especially when you're in the forest. I kind of like when things are a bit more like dimly lit. And just, that's also my style. I think I prefer when it's like a little bit darker on the curves. Other things I changed was just to make the grass, the forest, a bit more, I'm not sure, like, dark as well, but like, I don't know how best to describe it, but less like lime-ish in color and more, yeah, I wish I knew, like kind of like, yeah, like a darker green, let's just say, with for lack of knowing my colors, okay? So then this is what it looks like. Let's redo all this. Yeah, so then this is basically what I made it to be. So again, you see like a much darker on the greens, kind of got like a mintish color to it, but it's really just meant to be like a darker shade. And then everything else is like very, very dark. I don't mind playing in like pure black spaces, because to me it's like a creative choice. Like, do you really need to see, if every pixel is not pitch black or pitch white, is that really the best way to show something? And I don't know, personally I feel like sometimes it's good to have like pure black in areas, and it draws your focus to other areas. So even here, the fact that you can't see the eyes of the chimp is actually cool, because it's casting a shadow over the eyes that makes it feel very dramatic, ominous, that kind of stuff. So especially in this kind of slow motion mode and everything. And then when the eyes are revealed, it just makes that much more impactful. So going from like not visible to here you are. So yeah. Low Base, he said, you have to be a team member with a tier 1 sub to my channel. The sub just covers the cost of developing and running the bot. It's not for profit. But yeah, you invite it to your channel and it starts working immediately. There's a settings page you can use to set up. Ooh, well, Low Base, I believe I am a sub 1. I believe I am a tier 1 subber. Although I've been gone for 2 weeks, so I don't know if like do I have to like re-sub if it expired? I have no idea. Let's check. Nico, he said, I'm watching the film, and it's fantastic. Very good job, bravo. Well, thank you very much. Yo, Nico, make sure to leave a beautiful comment in there. Or you can shit on the video as well. It doesn't matter, as long as you're engaging, okay? So if you leave a comment in that YouTube video, make sure to like it as well. Make sure to follow me on YouTube, all of the usual. But I will definitely love you forever if you do that, because it goes a long ways to the performance of the video. So thank you, thank you. Low Bass Guy. Let me just double check. Low Bass Guy. Okay, it says manage your sub, 25% off. Does that mean I'm not subbed to you anymore? Or what does that mean? Manage your sub. Oh, no. I'm still subbed, yeah. Renews, nice. Yeah, so anyways, Low Base. You just have to join the web's Twitch team, which is super easy to do. If it says manage your sub, you're still subbed. Got it. Well, yeah, I would love to, let me know. Let me know what I need to do to get access to it. I like, there's so much I'm still not doing correctly. For instance, oh, wait, let me do this now. Who told me this? Was this Yami? Someone in the chat yesterday told me I should do this, and I didn't even know I could do it. So let me hit this promo, because obviously this is the main thing. And then I want to pin this to my chat. So watch the latest 5 minutes. There we go. Can I do this on Kick? Yes, let me pin this on Kick. And then what about YouTube? Dun, 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 dun. We are learning. We're learning. Pin the message. Yes. Oh, we're leveling up. There we go. Wait, no. Did I pinned the wrong freaking thing. God dang it. You know what? I need to learn how to ban people. Not that I would, but I was just thinking to myself, like, oh, if someone does something that they're not supposed to, I actually have no idea how. I don't know how I'm supposed to, like, block them or something. So that's how little we know about being a streamer. It's the /ban. Okay, well, that sounds simple enough. Well, thank you very much. Hopefully I'll never have to ban anyone, but yeah. Nico, you're asking, how do you film the slow motion? Is it an option at your camera, or do you change it when editing? Oh, dude, I love these questions, because I can at least explain those ones. You can also click their name and there's a ban button. Oh, okay, simple enough. Thank you very much, Lobase. So Nico, to your question, how do I film? So basically when I'm actually filming, it will always be in real time, right? So you just choose your frame rates. Usually it requires you to shoot at a frame rate that's high enough or fast enough such that in post you're able to slow it down. So like, okay, Nico, think of it, do you have like an iPhone or a smartphone, right? When you film with your smartphone, you can choose the option that says super slow-mo or whatever, and when you hit record, obviously you're recording everything in real time, but then later when you watch the video later, you'll see that it slows it down. And the reason it can do that is because when you actually recorded, usually you're filming at like 120 frames per second or 240 frames per second at the slow-mo versions. So your software is able to then slow it down to a level where it stretches the video out to many more seconds. So I have a presentation. I have a I have a keynote presentation that I made, which explains this concept much better, because I'm a visual learner. So like I have this whole visual where you can see like, I think the lowest frame rate to be considered like a quote unquote video is 24 frames per second. If you have anything less than 24 frames, you can still have a video, right? You can have like the, what's that kind of like a photo stop, or what's the word I'm looking for? Stop motion, right? You can have like stop motion film where it's clearly like it's glitching as it goes from motion to motion. But generally speaking, 24 frames is like the lowest end of a video. And that just means your camera is shooting 24 photos or 24 stills every second. So it's so fast that it's imperceptible to us. That's why it looks like a motion in video. But really your camera is doing all the work. So all of these slow motion footages you're seeing, like the one I was just showing of the chimps, this was shot in real time at 60 frames per second. So let's just jump over to the real time. So the same shot right here, right? This is what it looked like in real time. I was filming this at 6K, 60 frames per second. And then I can make it look slow motion because now with my editing tool, so in this editing software, all I had to do was right click this footage. And actually I can show you the... So for instance, here you see it was shot in 60 frames per second. And so then I just right click, you go to change clip speed. There's different ways to do it, but essentially I can just go here and change the speed to 40% of its speed, or you can actually change, there's different ways to do it, but essentially all I'm doing is slowing it down. And then that's how you get this nice shot. So normal speed, and then now you got slow motion of the exact same moment. And there's a visual way to talk about it, but basically, 24 frames is the theatrical, I think, says low base. Yeah, that's what I always heard, is that 24 is considered like the it's like what a lot of cinema, what a lot of Hollywood shoots at. And I don't know how true this is. This might be one of those kind of like Mythbuster type things, but some people say that 24 frames per second is similar to what humans actually see. Like the perception of us, like right now, anytime you're seeing something with your eyes open, usually you're seeing in like 24 frames per second. That's what I've heard. I don't know how true that is, but they're trying to make it sound like 24 frames is considered the most natural to like how we view things. And it adds enough motion blur because you're not capturing every frame. So it makes it feel a bit more smooth. F Mead, awesome. I crashed early last night. Oh yeah, Low Base, you were streaming last night. Is that right? I've never caught one of your streams, so I need to catch one of these days. Low Base, I'm just a photographer. I don't do video. I've always heard we don't notice the difference once it gets too far past 30 frames per second. I wonder, yeah, maybe it's because of the fact, again, like to us, it's too fast. It's like the fact that when you see the shots of, that's why you see light flickering, or when you see those shots of helicopters and like the rotors are so fast that to our naked eye, it's just a blur. But then if you shoot at a fast enough frame rate, you're actually seeing the individual rotors showing up within the blur. And that's just because the camera is fast enough to capture it within all the frames, whereas our eyes just don't capture that fast of frames. So like think of it as like the lights. So like we look at any of these light sources, and obviously it's not flickering, but then sometimes you get this flicker effect when you're shooting in certain frame rates on your camera, because like some of the LED lights or things that are out there, they're actually at a frequency. The light is like actually flickering at such a rate, but you just can't see it. It's imperceptible to the naked eye. But to the camera, when it's shooting at, let's say, 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second, it's so fast that it's actually able to detect when the light is flickering on and off. And so, yeah. Anyways, I'm pretty sure it's 3 a.m. for you when I stream. Gotcha, yeah. So, Nico, when it comes to slow motion, generally speaking, usually 60 frames per second is like an acceptable baseline for you to achieve slow motion, because you can slow down a 60 frames per second video to fit into a 24 frames per second video. So as an example here, my actual final video was all edited in a timeline that's set to 24 frames per second. So basically the export, once I exported this video, I was exporting it as a 24 frames per second video. And that allowed me to take all of the footage that I had that were shot at 60 frames, that were shot at 120 frames, 30 frames. I can actually slow down any of those footages based on how much I have to make it slow motion, because I have room to spare. Like think of it as, let's say if you have a 60 frames per second video, and you want to export at 30 frames per second, let's say this timeline ended up being 30 frames per second, that means every second, if I shot a video that was 1 second long and it's 60 frames per second, that means in that 1 second, there's literally 60 photos that were captured inside of that 1 second. Now, if I'm trying to put this into a 30 frames per second video, that means the video is expecting 30 frames inside of each second. I have 60 frames. So technically I have double the amount that is necessary to fit into a 30 frames. And the issue is then the 60 frames. That means not all 60 frames will be actually shown in a 30 frames per second video, because there's not enough space. There's only spot for 30 frames, and you've got 30 extra. So what you can do with the 60 frames per second video is you can take that 1 second and you can stretch it into 2 seconds. And if you stretch it into 2 seconds by slowing it down, then it means you're taking the first 30 frames, and the first 30 will now show up in the first second, and the remaining 30 will be in the next second. And that's fine, because you're exporting at a 30 frames per second video anyways. So you have exactly the right amount of frames to match each second. And so then you won't have weird glitches or jitteriness. And then, yeah, you've been able to slow down your footage by half the speed. I hope that made sense. It's much better to have visuals, but I'm too lazy to open up my keynotes. Okay, anyways. So thank you, by the way, Nico, for watching that video. If you did leave a comment, I'll make sure to check it out in a bit. Anyone else, please do feel free to watch this video. It's a labor of love. We also were able to apply a lot of our learnings from the past streams, including dehancer. So I was actually able to use the dehancer film software across the film. So it should be fairly noticeable when I'm using it. So example here, you're seeing there's a bit of like a glow effect on the chimps. And that's because I was applying the bloom and the halation effects from dehancer's film software. I also more overtly used it here when I was doing a montage of the 55 chimpanzees, because now I applied this kind of this visual effect that it has, that it replicates a bit of like the film look. And then I used it as a way to like almost like make it look like a projector. I added some sound effect as it switches from shot to shot.
Number Island.
Yeah. So that was also from Dehancer. So I hope you enjoy it. We applied a lot of learnings to it. There's still a few things though that people have mentioned to me that I should change next time. So one thing that bothered a couple people was the fact that here, like the captions that I was using, I shifted it over to the I shifted over to the left when I had these moments where I had to like do a lower thirds introducing the speaker or some location. So apparently for some people that is very jarring, or that is like it's like not a faux pas, but there's better ways to do this. And so for instance, in the next version I would then shift the title here up. Actually, let's just do it now since it's in front of us. So maybe what I should have done is taken this guy and can I shift all of it? I think it's just one. Okay. Actually, let me just shift it like this. So it might have been better if I did something more like this. Or maybe I'll just like shift it. I might have to change it. I mean, I guess technically I could put it in the top as well. The only problem is here, unless I reduce the font size and stuff, obviously it extends beyond the pillow. The pillow is also nice coloring, so I almost kind of want to keep it. Whereas the lines here almost looks like it could fit for a title. Anyways, point is, it feels like I can be a bit more liberal with where I place the kind of like title or the individual here. While maintaining a consistency to where the text for the subtitles show up might be a better strategy. So let's go ahead and fix that right now. So 1920. Did I do it? Okay, and let's do this one. Ooh, also this means now I can fix another thing. Because one issue I had was here I say, I've been working at the chimpanzee. And then it cuts to the next line where it says trust on Ngamba Island. And part of it was because if I try to include chimpanzee trust in one line, it was going to bleed into the title or the lower thirds. So now I should be able to go ahead and let's put it here because I think I have more space here. So I should be able to say I've been working at the chimpanzee trust. And then on this subtitle, let's cut out the trust. So now I should just say that. I've been working at the chimpanzee trust on Ngamba Island for now 16 years. Perfect. So yeah, that was one thing that Elle and I think Kevin had mentioned to me was like, oh, you know, you should keep the subtitles in the same place at all times. There's like one other area there where I need to fix. This one here. So same thing, I shifted the text over on the left, so yeah, we'll fix it in a second. LOL. Oh no, Low Base said this is my daily quota of math. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's unfortunate to use the frame using 24 frames because then we shoot at 50 frames, but the math is uneven. That's why I was trying to use 60 frames and 30 frames. But yeah, anyways, it's all confusing. It's much easier once you understand it. Like once you get it once, then it's fine. Nico says, "Oh, there was something I learned from this." Which I never knew. So again, I didn't know anything. I usually would shoot film where, let's say if I was shooting at 60 frames per second, then I would manually, in the camera settings, change the shutter speed to be 1/125. Because there's some shutter rule for film where you're supposed to double the number of whatever your frame rate is. So imagine if you're shooting at 30 frames per second, then your shutter speed should be 1/30 times 2, so 1/60. If you're shooting at 24 frames per second, it should be 1/48, but usually that doesn't exist, so it'd be 1/50 is the closest. If you're shooting if you're shooting 60 frames, you would do 1/125 because that's the closest to double 60, and so on and so forth. So I would just manually have to change the shutter speed to match as close to that as possible. And then there was a shout out to his name's Mohammed. He's also a Nikon creator in the region. But he was explaining a lot of this to me. He's very knowledgeable, but he was the one who told me, like, yo, you know, you can just film. Instead of shooting it, you can not do shutter speed. You can switch it to, I think it's called shutter angle. and then you keep it at 180 degrees, and that's like some old school terminology or whatever, but essentially it does the math for you. So now I don't ever have to even think about shutter speed. I can just change the frame rate, and then as long as you're shooting at 180 degrees, it will always apply the right math on the shutter speed. So anyways, that was something I learned. Shout out to Mohammed for teaching me. Nico, you said also from 250 to 320, how did you capture the scene? Isn't it dangerous to be so close to chimps without any barrier? Without knowing exactly, I'm going to go over to that section. There's a bunch of fences that might not be visible. So let me see. Oh, you mean in the water? Oh, wait, no. Oh, here in this shot. Yo, okay. So I believe you're asking about the shot where the chimps are walking straight towards the camera. So this one here, right?
In the beginning, the biggest challenge was the portrait.
So here, this was a super long tunnel, and actually I think I should have some behind the scenes I can show. And then hold on, let me see. Hey, what's up, Wei Lee? Wei Lee, are you new to the stream? I don't think I recognize your name. But if you are, or if you've been here before and you've chatted and I missed it, I apologize. I've been away from streaming for 2 weeks, so I've forgotten people. But welcome, Wei Lee. Thank you for your question. Let me read it. Teacher, could you share some red video footage from Nikon ZR? Yes, all of this is shot with the Nikon ZR. All of this was shot with the red codec. These are all just color corrected. Now, this was a pre-production unit, so you know, it won't actually be like the final one, or you should take it with a grain of salt. But yes, everything I'm showing here, and the film that I just shared online, which I'm going to promote again, because why not? This video that I made on YouTube, it's a 5-minute video. Everything here was shot with the Nikon ZR in the red codec. So enjoy it, and I'm here to just kind of break down a little bit and also just create more content. Let me answer your question though, Nico. Yeah, so let me see. I should have some examples to show you exactly where I shot this. I have to be careful what I share though, because there's a few things that the chimp sanctuary asked me not to share, like in terms of behind the scenes. So I want to be mindful of that, or respectful of that. But at least from what I shot in the film. Okay, here. Not really. Okay. I should be able to show it from... Which day was this? Maybe this day. Let's see. This would be under man-made. Okay, maybe I can show it here. Let's see. So basically where I'm standing right now is there's a bridge that goes over this caged steel tunnel, right? So this tunnel essentially connects between the facilities and the human facilities and where all the staff and members are, and like where the tourists go in and the boat dock. It connects from there to the rest of the island. So this tunnel allows them to reach into the veterinary clinic, the feeding area, the sleeping quarters, and then it also connects to the forest opening and the rest of the forest. So 90, what is it? I have it in the video. I think 95% of the island is cordoned off for the chimps. So chimps have free reign over the island. They do whatever they want. And then 5% of the island is where the staff members have built everything to take care of the chimps. So let me see if I show some of it here. Oh, you know what? I think I might have it. In the extended version. Nope. Yeah, oh yeah, kind of like this, right? So you'll see that there's like a little bridge that goes over, and then there's this tunnel that goes through. So I think I was probably standing... this is a bad example. Dang it. I'm just trying to give you an actual visual example to your question. Oh yeah, so I can kind of show it here, right? So you see here, Nico, this is that tunnel. So when you're seeing that footage, it's them entering the tunnel from this forest opening, which is off here, right? So this is the rest of the island. This is the fence. It's like an electric fence that protects and keeps the chimps from entering into the human facilities. But essentially, they open a door here, and then the chimps would enter through this tunnel. They go all the way towards the end here, and then roughly around here is where I was crouched. I was like sitting, pointing my camera through the opening. And because I was shooting with like a telephoto lens, the moment I'm shooting, especially after like around over 100mm focal length, then you're not seeing the cage, like the steel bars in the front, and you're just seeing into the inside. And then the cage, this tunnel, veers off to the left. So there's like a 90-degree shift as it moves to the left. So it's an L shape. And so then I was just standing at the base of that L. And so the chimps come all the way up. It looks like they go right to me, which they do. But then they turn left to continue down the tunnel. Whereas I'm just staying there filming straight ahead. So that's essentially kind of like the... I do have some footages somewhere where I can show a bit more actuals. But... yeah, let me get back to the moment here. So yeah, I'll show you from the beginning. So here, when you see this door,
the chimps that we have here.
So this is the door that, so they slide it open from the top, and then the chimps can enter.
Rescued from very traumatic experiences.
And this is just them walking through the tunnel. So it was never dangerous, and like the staff make sure that like I always stay the right distance. So I'm not so close that if they like reach through the bars that they can grab me or grab my equipment or stuff like that. So yeah. But yeah, it ended up being such a cool shot. I was so happy with this. But yeah, maybe I'll show an example of what I mean here. Slow motion. So yeah, I have all the shots up on the top track because I want to show you what I mean. Oh yeah, so here's a good example, right? F-Mead, you said, I absolutely love this video. I will be watching later and really take it on, but it is stunning. Well, thank you, man. I thank you very much for saying that. It's every video I've made, I say the same thing, so it's a little bit tiring to say this, but I'm like, you know what? Every time I make a video, I feel like it's my best video. I feel very proud about it. It's my favorite and so on. And this is no exception. After I made this video, I feel so proud of this work. Obviously very grateful for the opportunity. I was fortunate to be able to capture things that most people cannot. So it's very exclusive in that sense. I was able to get these close-up shots, which is not necessarily what most people can ever get. But yeah, all of that aside, I feel really proud because I do feel that I leveled myself up from this this whole project. Having to like create the film, figure out how to do this voiceover scripting. We'll share all of that as well. But thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate it. So here I'm shooting at roughly, I think 200mm. I was using a 70 to 200mm f2.8 lens. So most likely this is at 200mm f2.8. Then what you'll see is that as the chimps were getting closer, I started to zoom out on the lens because like, I was assuming I want to keep capturing it. It took a few attempts, but then I think on the second or third day, I realized it's just better to stick to the 200mm. And here's why. So here you can see it's still coming up. I'm probably still roughly at 200mm. I only slightly zoomed out. At some point though, I should start zooming out. I'm not sure if it's on this one. Let's see. Yeah, so here I must have. I just might have done it very smoothly. Let me see. There should be a better. Let's find a better example. Okay, this one. Okay. So then here, as I started zooming out towards like 70mm so I can capture more of the chimps, the problem is the more I zoom out to capture them, and also as they get closer, sure, I can get the whole chimp in the frame now, or especially when I'm wider on the angle, but then the bars start becoming much closer and more obvious. Because now that takes up more real estate on my lens. Now I'm seeing both of these bars, whereas when I was zoomed in tighter, there's a chance that I was actually zooming completely inside of the two bars, or enough so that only one of the bars is showing. So anyways, here, for instance, even if I'm able to capture focus of one of the chimps, now the bars are much more visible. And so then it kind of takes away from the shot. And also you can now see the bars on the side because they're all at the same focus. So just there's a few things here where I was like realizing it's just better if I shot at the longest focal length and kept it there the whole time. let's see if I have a better example. Yeah, obviously here's the most obvious example where it's like now when I'm focusing on the chimp that's straight up against the cage, now it's like everything is going to be visible. It's going to be hard to only focus on something here without capturing the bars. And even if I was to focus on something way back there, the bars just, it just becomes a bit more visually apparent. So, and the problem is, while this could be a nice shot, I was trying my best to avoid too many shots of these kind of like these bars, because it unfortunately conveys a lot of like negative sentiment around like prison, feeling imprisoned, cages. And when it comes to animals, obviously like animals in cages are 9 out of 10 times probably not a positive thing. So I didn't want to end up conveying something that I shouldn't. I wanted to make sure that like I don't want people to walk away from this video feeling like, oh, is this like, do they like, are they mistreating the animals? Why are they in cages? Why do they look so sad in a caged environment? When it's like literally it could not be more, it could not be further from the truth of like what the sanctuary does. This is literally just a tunnel to lead them to the other areas, and it's also for their protection, to keep them from entering into the human spaces, but then also allowing them to also be fed. So then they can, you know, you'll see the caretakers. Where do I have this? So here, for instance, where are you? Okay, it must be up here. Yeah. So like these kind of shots. So then obviously having these cages also serves a dual purpose, because then it allows the keepers, the staff keepers, the facilities members to actually interact with the chimps without actually entering into the space. Because you can imagine it's like, yes, while they have a good relationship, it's still dangerous. These are still wild animals, powerful animals, very emotional, very human-like, right? So they can be very aggressive. So this allows them to do like, you know, provide nutrition and feedings without necessarily coming into contact with the chimps. But like from a visual perspective, it can be very, very negative. So I was trying to be as careful as possible with how anytime I showed some of these moments, I was trying to tie it with a positive message. I was trying to tie it with more lighthearted music or more hopeful music, doing a bit more slow motion for this to kind of like, yeah, just trying to make it feel more cinematic, or you know, tying in the shots where it's a bit more like, you know, sunsetty and less, you know, gloomy. So but yeah, they literally built this massive enclosure, and so it's really, really tall because they're trying to mimic the forest environment when the chimps are sleeping or interacting or whatever. So they had a bunch of hammocks that I think there's like a nearby island, or the village island, there's like a town nearby on a separate island, and the kids or the people there like made these like hammocks, I believe. And so they have these hammocks along the tops of these enclosures to mimic when the chimps would be sleeping on the branch, like the treetops and stuff like that. Yeah, so they did their best to like make this as comfortable as possible for the chimps. And then you'll see, like, you know, I try to film as much as possible when they're cleaning. So they clean every day. And it's a lot of work, these guys, what they do. It's really good work, you know? Yeah, and you know, it's like, imagine, like, you're literally having to clean up shit and, you know, feces, urine, whatever else like these chimps are you know, doing on a day-to-day basis. So it is tough work, and they have to do this every day, keep it clean. But yeah, this was a cool shot. I really liked how it ended up. I don't know her name, but there was a moment, yeah, obviously she's cleaning, and I was shooting with I think I was shooting with the 35 again, but obviously I'm crouched down low. So then when she was looking up, there's a nice kind of like, I don't know what you would call this, but it's like kind of like a power stance, you know what I mean? Because like the camera angle is pointing up from a low angle. So then it makes the subject feel taller, larger, more imposing. And so she had like a cool stance. She's looking off to into the distance, slow motion. It just feels like one of those kind of superhero shots, you know, where, you know, they're like, I wish I could explain this better, but yeah. So anyways, this ended up being one of my cool shots that I kept into the film. But yeah, so much of this that I ended up not being able to use. So yeah, this is what we're going to do, okay? So on these streams, we're going to be spending a lot of time catching up on everything. We still have to work on our Mongolia video, so I haven't lost sight of that. It's just there's a few deliverables I have that I need to take care of, including, like, you know, the ZR obviously just got announced, so it behooves me to make as much content around the ZR as possible, because you might as well maximize when the attention is on this topic. But also, it's like, yeah, there's not many. You will not find a lot of footage out there in the world that was captured with this camera. So it is really cool. I do hope. I can only hope. Fingers crossed. I hope that as we grow as a content creator, as a streamer, and all that fun stuff, as an influencer, I hope that we'll have even more of these types of opportunities, because it's so cool. It's so cool to like have like the inside scoop on things, obviously, but then to actually have access to really cool products and then test it out and hopefully create something amazing out of it. Yeah, we'll hope for that. This was a shot I ended up not being able to use. I really wanted to. There was even an area where I thought this could work, where I think Dr. Rukundo says something about, you know, 95% of the island is you know, cordoned off for the chimps, and it's all like forests, and over time the forest essentially has gotten more rich. So basically, because there's no human interaction there, the forest has like regrown or like kind of rehabilitated itself, right? It's reforested itself. And so while he's mentioning how like the forest has now become more rich, or like it's become richer and like more back to like restoring balance and like just whatever, I thought it'd be cool to show a shot like this, the spider, because then here you're showing like obviously the forest. So you're talking about like nature, it's reforested itself, everything, the biodiversity, everything's getting richer, and then have a nice like focus pull to the spider. But the problem is this takes too long to show, and I just literally I couldn't find things to cut out to make it possible. So in the extended version, I would like to. In other versions of stuff, the content that we create, we'll do it. But yeah, this whole section I also use dehancer, so it's a bit more obvious. Because, again, same thing, you see that like halation and that bloom effect. So it was giving a nice like dreamy effect to everything. So I liked it. But then I also used lens distortions LUTs for a lot of this as well. So yeah. A lot of monitor lizards were there. I would wake up every day and there'd be like a monitor lizard chilling outside my door. They're super cool looking though. Not dangerous. They're always afraid of humans. They would run the moment they see me.
My name is Dr. Joshua Rukundo. I am a word.
Okay, let me see. I wanted to share some other things as well. Ooh, one thing. Just taking a quick break from this. I saw lens distortions. Oh, yeah. Also for the audio, all the soundtracks, I believe most of them, if not all, was from lens distortions. So let me actually see. Can we play a bit of this? Let me build this up here. So the first soundtrack I used was called Doubts _. And let me turn off all the sound effects. Okay, here we go. So this one's called Doubts _, and it's gonna be fun. I actually, hopefully you guys find value in this. I know probably the interest is more like, hey, can you break down the Nikon ZR stuff? And obviously I will, but I also kind of wanted to talk about the other aspects of when I made this, including the soundtracks and things like that. So give me a second. So this is the first song that I utilized in this video. This is the original. It's called Doubts. Let me play this. So very somber. And also, these are all basically, I try to like bucket this by the keys of the song. So everything was in D minor that I ended up using, I believe. And so I was spending a lot of time listening to the different songs and then trying to put them by the key and then trying to see if I can combine these and make it nice. So this one was the original Doubts under the Doubts song. Now, a few things though with this song was the fact that there's a lot of different instruments that you can hear throughout. And while it sounds good altogether, in terms of the mood of what I was doing here, I figured I need to remove a lot of melodies from the soundtracks. Just because for this kind of documentary style, where I'm applying someone's voice, right? There's going to be a voiceover. We're hearing from Dr. Rakundo. So I don't want melodies and other instruments to be too distracting from his voice. So that was one thing I had in my mind in terms of like, okay, when I choose music, it almost has to be less is more kind of a concept. So while I liked the mood and the tone of this song, some of the instruments I thought I didn't need. And so the good thing about Lens Distortions, it has the ability for you to essentially download by the stem. So basically it breaks down the music or the soundtrack into like all the key parts, whether it's the instrumental parts, the sound effects, things like that. So let me keep playing a little bit more of this. So you can hear there's like some kind of like synthy sound. There's like this bass. There's a bunch of stringed instruments. Very, very cool. But yeah, there's a lot going on there. So then I ended up downloading the underscore, and that's what you see I ended up using, which is very, very softly. So let's go ahead and play that. And just throughout the whole thing, it's like, and then obviously I turned down the audio level on this, but it was just meant to be something like very, very soft, you know, in the background, adding a bit of a tone to this. Yeah, just add some mood, right? Like, I want the viewer to start feeling something. And so this is one thing I'm learning as I do more like filmmaking. It's like the power of music, obviously the power of visuals, but like how important is it to set the tone up front and then throughout. So I just let it play all the way. Did I let it play all the way to the end? Let's see. No, I basically had it stop at a certain point here. And then we'll see why. Because you can see I even toned it down up until a point. So hopefully I did it for a good reason. So that was one of the songs I ended up using. And let me just... Oh, no. I didn't want to do that. I just want to build this up a bit bigger so we can see. Okay. So then what happens next? So yeah, I build up, and then here I added the soundtrack, or I added a little sound effect, the subtle pluck D. So there's can we find it real quick? Subtle pluck D, yeah. So this is a cool thing about Lens Distortions, and also there's another thing that I purchased some music from. I haven't used it yet, but what the cool thing about Lens Distortions is they have all these like instruments that are very cinematic, but they let you download them based on the keys. So I was downloading a bunch of stuff that was in like the D key. Is that how you say it? But then also when you download the stems, it tells you which ones that were used. So that was a nice one. You can see some other ones. So yeah, basically you get the point. Like there's all these cool sound effects. So I was trying to figure out, I don't want to like over utilize them, but there are some moments that obviously you want to, you know, build out the moment. So the first one to me was exactly that in the very beginning. We started with this nice quotation, or this quote from Jane Goodall, who is one of the, I think, original founders, or the Jane Goodall Institute is I think one of the founders of this the Chimpanzee Trust. And Jane Goodall is like a key figure in when it comes to chimpanzees. Usually people think of Jane Goodall and vice versa. So then, yeah, I just had a moment where as it shifts from this black in the quote, just jump right into the chimp shot. So yeah, so I wanted to be like in your face out of nowhere, but I didn't want it to be like a jump scare. So the subtle, that sound was subtle enough that it wasn't like this would have been too much, right? Or yeah, that one or this one. I feel like it's so sharp and loud that is more like a jump scare, whereas this was, it's called subtle, right? So just lower, softer tone, and I think it helped fit the mood. It was my hope, obviously. And then we used another song called Emergent Behavior. That's the one we're on right now. So let's go ahead and play the original. I think I should have it downloaded. Emergent Behavior. Let's find it from here. Emergent Behavior. I'm a big fan of lens distortions. If they would somehow sponsor me, I would love that. So if anyone has connections in whatever, let me know. Okay, so this is the second soundtrack I used. Also, you can see here, and it's in D minor. I've actually used this beginning in my, you'll see it in my live streams. When I start the stream, I'll play it for you guys in a second. So that whole beginning part, if it sounds familiar, it's because I've used it in my live streams. So let me go ahead and play this real quick. It's part of my opener. Let's see. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so I would use it usually in my, like, the beginnings of my my streams. Anyways. So that's why it should sound familiar to some of you guys. It's a really cool opening, but then here's where it doesn't necessarily work for what I was trying to create, and I'll show you why. So let's let it play out. So obviously completely different tone, right? Like now we're talking like some kind of hipster or like some kind of high action octane kind of sounding thing. Doesn't really fit for this documentary style. But the beauty is obviously I can download the stems. So you can see here there are like 10 different things that I could download that's part of this this soundtrack, including the stems and alternative mixes. So then what did I end up using? Let's see. I used the drone sound. Yeah, okay. So I just used the drone sound. Let's see what that is. Emergent Behavior, drones, this one. Just a nice build up, you know, starts quiet and gets a little bit louder and louder. Drops off there. So there's a nice little drop off in let's see, right around here. And it cuts there, right? So then I utilize that in the video. I'll watch it in a second. Nico, you said what file should I use for a video? XAVCS MP4 or AVCHD? I have no idea. XAV. You know what? This is a question for ChatGPT. Good morning, Amber. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great and ready to help out with whatever you've got in mind. Hope
All right.
You're doing well too.
I'm doing well. Let's get into it. Someone in my stream is asking if they should use for video XAVCS MP4 or AVCHD. I have no idea. Can you enlighten us?
Absolutely. So the quick rundown is this. this. Generally speaking, XAVC in an MP4 wrapper is a more modern and flexible format, especially for things like 4K video or higher bit rates. It's kind of like your all-around good quality format that's easy to edit and share on platforms like YouTube. On the other hand, AVC HD is a bit older and was more common back in the day for like HD camcorders. It can be a bit more restrictive and not as flexible when you're editing. So in most cases, I'd say go for XAVC-S if they have the choice. It's just a bit more modern and easier to work with overall.
All right, well, there we go. There's our answer. And then Photo Elite has also given a lot more context here. Choose XAVCS MP4 for the highest image quality, especially for 4K or high frame rate video, as it uses a higher bit rate and retains more details, though it creates larger files. Select AVC HD if you need Blu-ray compatibility and a good balance of quality and file size. Opt for standard MP4 for the smallest, blah, 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 but be aware it may compromise on image quality. Yes. Photo Elite always has the answers, so thank you very much. Everything he said there. There you go, Nico. But thank you, Photo, and there's obviously a bunch of people who have so much technical knowledge. It's so impressive. So I'm glad you guys are part of this community. Yes. And correct me if I ever say anything wrong. But this is also a way of ChatGPT in our community as well. Let's not forget. Okay, so we were just listening to that drone sound in the pluck. So let's actually put it all together because I think that's all I used. In terms of soundtrack, that was it. So we had the underscore from the song called Doubts. We had the drones stem from Emergent Behavior and the string plucking sound, this one here. So, what does that all look like when you put it all together? And the pluck sound there. Then I just had it a bit quiet, and then it builds up. You hear the audio is like crescendoing with the song. But then it drops off there. And it builds up speed. Oh yeah, and then that very last thing there was the little crystal clear is what it was called. This one here. I thought it was a cool little tone, just yeah, it was a nice little sound effect. So I thought that would be nice to do a very, very dramatic cutoff. So as we step away from the chimps, build up, and then boom. Then we hit right into the title scene. And then I was explaining this yesterday, but yeah, basically I had a little bit of creative direction here where I thought if the title is going to be called Island of Second Chances, one, I wanted to use a font type that looked a bit like grungy or like dirty, you know what I mean? Like I wanted something to feel like it's been stepped on and stuff like that. So I had found this font where it had that effect, right? You can see it's like peppered in with a bunch of stuff. So yeah, like that was one thing. I wanted to feel like a used font, if that makes sense. And then since it's about a concept of like Island of Second Chances, and it's like a second chance for the wild, it's a second chance for nature, it's a second chance for humanity. That's like kind of the core theme of what I wanted to share in this video, is like we're trying to restore balance and all that. So anyways, with that second chances, I want to first look very dead and like, dull. And then obviously we see it flicker on with the lights. So then that was just a way to be like, oh, we've given it a second chance. We've given the title a second chance. That was kind of like what I was going for. So some people will probably look at this and think it's tacky. I was like, oh, it's cool. I didn't even think about doing a title like this. Because like everything I was researching on YouTube for like short films, documentaries, it tends to just be a title scene. You just have the title show up, nothing fancy about it. So this kind of just came to me at a moment. And I was like, oh, let's try this. I ended up liking it. So hopefully you guys like it as well. I pop low bass. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I missed something. Photo, he said ChatGPT doesn't give any more context than it absolutely needs to. For example, the other codecs formats. Yeah, for sure. Listen, it's more knowledge than I have though. That's the main that's the main issue and the reason I utilize it so much. Low bass, he said, I popped back from another stream that was quieter, and I came back in time for that sound to be a laser to my brain. Yes, I'm here to wake you up. I'm assuming you're at work right now, so yes, think of it as you're welcome. I thought your brain was a laser. No, my brain is Play-Doh. Nice, nice. We all share something in common there. Okay, what was the next song I used? Okay, so it's a song called Roots, and then Testing the Limits. Let's check that out. Roots piano. So I used some of the underscore, or like the stems from that as well. So this one's called Roots. Here's the original song. Let me pause this. And again, this is all lens distortions. I'm such a fan. I wish they had an affiliate link or something, or just, I wish they would work with me. Work with me. Very soft, but it's got a little bit of like a positive feel to it, right? It's a little bit like a hopeful maybe, but it's like less, it's still kind of somber, but not really. I wish I knew how to describe this, but it felt like a nice thing to kind of start with a little bit of positivity as well. You know what it is? I feel like it's because the whatever that note is, it feels more like a major key note as opposed to like a minor key thing. It just has a more major positive feel to it, if that makes sense. I'm not a musician really, or I don't know music theory. But again, like I said, when in the original song or like the full song version, there's a lot of instruments going on, which I thought would be too overwhelming for what I'm doing, which you can kind of hear as the song plays out, right? So I figured that's where I just want only a few pieces. So I ended up using the pianos because I just wanted that piano note to come through. And throughout, so the whole thing is very soft, right? And then I used something called the pad for the root song. So this is just like, I think it was just a few tones and that was it. So yeah, anyways, so then as I was listening to this, I downloaded these. I was like, okay, I know I'm going to use some of it somewhere. And honestly, it was just a lot of like luck and a lot of just kind of trial and error. I wish I had a better response because like I need to be able to replicate this. But if there is something I would replicate going forward on my future projects, it will be trying to organize all the songs that I have based on the keys. So yeah, I think I need to create a whole library where I have like C minor, D major, F major, everything. And so same thing for sound effects. I think I need to do it this way. So then hopefully as I work on a project, maybe it's like a positive, hopeful feeling one. I'll be, okay, let's choose everything in the D major. And then hopefully that means I spend less time wasted just like randomly searching through songs. So yeah, that ended up being the soundtracks that I used here. And then we had another song, Testing Limits. Testing the Limits. Oh, but then you can see here, I didn't use anything from Testing the Limits except for the string plucking sound. I'm looking through the rest of this. Yeah, so I didn't end up using the song at all, really. So the only thing I ended up using was the these little strings. And I literally only used it, what? 7 notes. 5, 6, 7. That was it. But then, yeah, it created this nice, and then I would try to match everything to the notes. Roots pad, preparations. Okay, the next song is called Preparations. Let's listen to that one real quick. Same thing, this is just the pad, so it wasn't using the full song. But yeah, I feel like this is something I wish someone had explained this to me sooner. So maybe that means I will eventually make a YouTube video on this just to share my own knowledge or my thoughts around it. But I wish when I was watching videos about like how do you make a video, like how do you edit in DaVinci, how do you make your own short film or travel vlog, whatever your concept is, and like where soundtrack is important. I feel like most times people just be like, hey, I use Artlist, I use Epidemic Sounds, I use audio, I use this platform, and you can download, and that's roughly where it starts and ends. They're like, we use this platform, I found really cool music and all that. I wish someone had just told me like this is the best way to do it, is you find one of these platforms and you should always download the stems, not the full song. And so instead of like listening to a song and be like, yo, that's too punchy, that doesn't really fit the mood of what I'm doing, it doesn't mean that song is unusable. You might still want to download that song from one of the platforms if it has the stems, where maybe you just want the bass line, or you just want the strings that are plucked in the beginning. And yeah, it wasn't really, I didn't watch any good videos that shared that with me. But yeah, I wish I'd learned that. So if I can share that knowledge properly, hopefully it's helpful. But yeah, the moment I realized the importance of this, it like changed everything. Because yeah, even this one, right? I just used the pad, or you can just use no percussion. And yeah, you just break down the music by the different instruments, and it makes such a big difference because like even the one I was just looking at, let's search for it, preparations. I ended up just pulling the pad from that, which ended up being a very, very soft undertone that feels nice, it sounds nice, it's not overwhelming. But if I didn't know that you could download the stems or the importance of it, and if I just listened to the actual song, I would have just ignored it, because I'd be like, oh, maybe the beginning's nice, but then like there's all these other instruments. So yeah, like I would have maybe, imagine if I listened to this and I was like, oh, I don't know, like all those instruments there is way too much. There's too many modern instruments or whatever's going on. And then you ignore it. But then it's like, oh, wait, hold on. If you double click on this and you can actually download just the instrumentals or just the melody or just the bass. Yeah. Anyways, so that was another song I ended up using. And is that it? Is there any other? Oh, a song called Story Time. Story Time. And then we only ended up using one of the pads. Let's see. What did the original sound like? Story Time. Nico, you said your PC just crashed? Oh, sorry to hear that. I know that feeling too well. Yeah, so I ended up, I think probably the synth noises and stuff might have been something I didn't want to use. Yeah, so I ended up just downloading this pad. Oh, and then I timed this because it's a bit more like jarring. So I'm pretty sure that's what I ended up using. Yeah, so that's what I ended up using when I was showing the more dramatic shots of the chimps in the cage tunnel, just to fit the mood. So yeah, anyways, that's a little bit of the behind the scenes there. Yo, thank you very much for the follow. Ooh, on the kick side. Ooh, you want me to do something on Discord? You're one of those. Well, listen, I appreciate the follow. I'm not going to take it away. So thank you very much for the follow. But yeah, one thing, again, I keep saying this. Kick has been very interesting in the 2 months that I've been streaming. Oh, I do still need to make my goodness, I have a backlog of videos I need to make. I still need to make my first month of streaming video. I don't have enough time. But there's so much I learned from the first month. So yeah, I think one of the learnings was that Kick, I haven't been able to like establish a community there. It feels like Twitch has an existing community Like from the very first day, right? I was learning that there's all these like photographers or people, creative people that support each other and all that kind of stuff. Kick has felt more like a Wild Wild West. But yeah, it's been a bit more like empty. We've met a few cool people on Kick for sure, but there's also not as many like tools that like, you know, like creator tools and stuff that makes it more enjoyable, I would say. I don't know. I just, maybe I don't have enough time with it. But yeah, listen, we're not going to give up on Kick just yet, but it has been the one that I've struggled with the most. I streamed like twice on Kick and never went back, says Low Base. Yeah, I mean, the thing to me is always like, what's the harm, you know? If there's no, if the difference, like, yeah, if you were to tell me there's a massive difference if I stream on 2 platforms versus 3, or doing 1 platform versus 2 or whatever, then yeah, I would keep it under consideration. But like, I imagine anyone that's watching on Kick, it's not like, I don't know, I feel like they're so different. So if I can put myself out there on more channels, then probably better. I don't know. I say goodbye for today. It was very interesting. Well, thank you very much, Dator. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully it was enjoyable. Yeah, we're doing a shorter stream today as we kind of catch up on life and everything. But hopefully you enjoyed our awesome content. And I'll see you again whenever you're tuning back in. Now, speaking of that, it is 9 p.m. my time. And I'm being very, very mindful that I'm not trying to stream long hours. I have so much that I have to take care of, unfortunately. So I'm just trying to balance out a bit of like easing myself back into streaming, but then also reminding myself I have to be very productive with the time that I have. So I might take this as a moment for me as well to say maybe I should end the stream in a few minutes here. So let's just start like wrapping things up a bit, and then I'll be back tomorrow again. But yeah, like I have to create a product review of the ZR, so that's going to require a lot of me like sitting down and actually building out the script, the structure, what are the talking points I need to cover, what footages do I have, not just of the footages here, but then also some of the behind the scenes that I have. Oh wait, here, I can share something that should be kind of cool, I hope. I think it's from the last day, September 1st. 30 frames and 24 frames. Let's see. So these are some of the other people that I interviewed.
Before we get moving close, so I'm first told how they behave, their level of receptibility, how they look at new people. So I have tried to master some of them. How
I think I was to this island. I was testing the shotgun mic with this camera, but I was like super far away. I was shooting with like an 85mm lens, so I did have them mic'd up. So you've been here, that kind of stuff. So we'll start with.
A month now. I'm staying for 1 more month, and so far it's been amazing. And
that's actually pretty good, because same thing. I was really far away from her, so that I could film a bit of the background and stuff. I haven't really like touched this or edited this much. Let's see, did I blow out the sky there? No, that's fine. But anyways, so I was using a shotgun mic. I think I had it set up pretty high.
yeah, the research that I'd done before on this place where I thought they would put animal welfare first, that is correct.
Now, one of the issues, again, I couldn't find the dead cat to put onto the mic, so you're going to hear a bit of that wind sound, unfortunately.
What I'm seeing here is, yeah, they really care about the animals, and they care about the visitors, and they care about the research that I'm doing, of course, but the animals really do go first. So, for example, I was doing research with a few pairs, and one of the chimpanzees that I was working with was showing some signs of stress a little bit before the research.
Chimpanzees. I've never heard it that way. The chimpanzees. Nice. Low bass with the cat. I wish Restream would show me. Scaredy cat. Nice. I wish the Restream chat, because that's normally what I look at. I wish it would show like emojis or like animated stuff. It's always like just an image, because I know your stuff is always like really cool animations. Anyway, so we have a bunch of these interviews, but that's not what I wanted to show, because I needed to. Where do I have it? It's not this. Did I shoot it? Oh wait, I might have shot it at 60Ks accidentally. Yeah, I didn't mean to shoot this at 6K 60 frames. I just forgot to reduce the quality. So I ended up doing a bunch of selfie tests, and I wasted a lot of memory card space because on me, which is super, come on, like, but it was at the end of the trip. So let me do the quick adjustment here. So we have our beautiful apply grade. Oh, look at that beautiful, beautiful effect. Okay, let's copy this over. Sure. Okay, let's see how this is. So, okay, we are testing the microphone on. Let me turn this down a bit. Our new ZR. You can hear it all right. Let's drop it just a bit. I forgot to put the dead cat on. Doesn't seem to be any wind here. Okay, so this is with the shotgun silencer. Mic. I forgot to put that on. I have the mic set to 11 right now. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm not seeing my voice peak at all. Now, this is supposed to have the 32-bit float recording. Let me just do a test now where we take off the shotgun. Okay, so then the next one should be without the shotgun mic. Let's see. Same camera, just without the shotgun mic. It's also on the same setting of 11. So hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let me put this into mono. There's this. Yeah, okay, for some reason this track, actually no, we're going to keep it in stereo because I want to see sound. Hopefully you guys can hear me just perfectly. I have the mic. I'm wondering, like, does it capture like a stereo sound? But this one, I think I need to change the audio. I'll just change this to mono. Oh shoot, I didn't want that to happen. Just this one, mono. I want to test the built-in microphone. That is not what I wanted. Christ. Quality of our ZR. So far, I can't complain. Okay, so this is without the shotgun mic. 11. So hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. There's this slight breeze coming through, but I want to test the built-in microphone quality of our ZR. It has a focus box for both my eyes. I a new firm. Okay, so let's. Okay. 10 different spider webs. So I'm just collecting webs around here. You guys can mic recordings. So I believe this is set to the 32-bit float camera. So yeah, so like the built-in mic as well as with the shotgun that I was using, it's like really good. It's really crisp. That word. So I'm really happy to hear that. You know, I think staff members set that so that there's a little timer that shows up. Logic. And now we were in focus. Let's go ahead and choose pure. So there's like two kind of switches you can play around with. So one of the options you can switch between is focus and pure. Okay, yeah, listen. We're going to review this in detail because obviously it's all going to be part of the reviews that we do. But no shock. I'm going to be overwhelmingly positive. I really enjoyed using this. Short amount of time. It was a pre-production unit, so a lot of, obviously, there's a lot that I'm sure will change from when I used the unit compared to what will actually be as part of launch. But I can only imagine it's going to get better, right? Not worse. And it really is one of those where it's like, I cannot wait to travel with this camera, shoot. I think it'll open up a lot of doors for me now in terms of like interesting project concepts because, yeah, like it just feels like everything you capture with this is very cinematic. And so anytime you have something that looks cinematic, it just becomes a good portfolio. So I do feel very confident since I've created this video. And as we continue making films, I actually feel very confident. Confidence is the wrong word. I feel very excited to start actually pitching myself to like, for different projects, travel film projects. Like whether it's to tourism boards, whether it's like, why not reach out to like National Geographic or to entities that work with them to see if I can be a part of some like, travel expedition and just be one of their lowly interns, kind of like, but like, can I be one of their, like photographers or videographers, right? And just keep doing stuff like that. I feel like hopefully I should be able to show this body of work now that will at least put me in the running for some of those kind of opportunities. I just got to now put myself out there for that. So anyways, we are now doing our final rambles. It is now past 9 p.m. I need to spend the next few hours just kind of like working still, unfortunately. And then we'll do this again tomorrow. But thank you guys for being here. We will continue, tomorrow's going to be the same thing. I'm going to break down a bit of the, we're going to keep talking about the ZR, okay? I'm going to milk this for all it's worth, because why not, right? This is a very unique opportunity I've been a part of, so as much as I can milk the Nikon ZR in my streams, I shall. But hopefully I'll also add value to you guys watching, because we're going to keep sharing a bunch of content. I'll keep talking through some of the features or some of the shots that I have. And I'm going to start making... so tomorrow, let's actually make our next Instagram reel, like YouTube shorts. So I have a bunch of vertical shots. I have a bunch of other shots that we can potentially turn into a really cool... Like, okay, actually, yeah, since we're on it. Like even something like this, right? We got this vertical shot of Mr. Sunday. This is Sunday, the one of the tall chimps that we talked about before. So yeah, we'll be able to go through some of these and see, can we turn it into a really cool reel or a YouTube short. So yeah, with all of that said, thank you guys for being here. Thanks for being here on my return back from the trip and from not streaming. It means a lot to know that you guys are still interested in being here. So thank you guys. Thank you, Low Bass. Thank you, Nico, as well. Good night. Enjoy the stream. Thank you. I appreciate it. And, oh yeah, before we go, again, I'm going to put this in the chat, ! Promo. Check out the video on YouTube. And I also just posted a YouTube short, which is like the trailer version that condenses a lot of those moments. But if you'll check out the 5-minute video, I hope you'll enjoy it. Leave it a like, a thumbs up, leave a comment. I will respond to it right after I end the stream. But yeah, and share it with all your friends, with everybody, your enemies, anyone who's willing to actually watch 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Let me go back to full cam for me to say thank you again. Where do I look? Yes, we're going to look over here.